only true hero that we can look to, that will come and encircle us with his presence, with his goodness, with his favor, with his life. This is why it is worthwhile to talk to God. Friends, I know there's been a lot of conversations in your home, but how much of those conversations have been directed to God? You know, after Daniel miraculously made it out of the lion's den, pagan King Darius made a decree. And the reason he made the decree, because he witnessed something that blew his mind. Daniel talked to God, and God answered back. You know, I'm sure Darius had been talking to his idols and statues for many a year, but they never responded back. And yet he saw Daniel enter a lion's den, doomed to death. Yet on the other side of it, he was alive and well. And he said this is the pagan king, saying, he is the living God, enduring forever. His kingdom shall never be destroyed, and his dominion shall be to the end. He delivers and rescues. He works signs and wonders in heaven and on earth. That's what the pagan king said. And even in death, when it looks like we have lost, he brings us into his loving arms for all eternity. You see, he does this on behalf of his people because he is a living God, able to talk to us, able to rescue us, able to deliver us. We of all people must know this truth about God, and it should inspire us like it did Daniel to talk to God, the God who is alive and active in the lives of his people. Friends, we have a privilege that we have been called out of darkness into light, that we can call upon the name of the Lord and be saved. There are so many things we do with our time that, quite frankly, are useless and anemic in its ability to help with the serious challenges that life brings and the serious challenges of our day. Think about the things that we do that are just futile, are just a waste of our time and energy, that have no power, no ability to help us. I think if you took an account of your life and your day, you would find out that much of your activity is not very productive in accomplishing real tangible fruit in your life. But I want to tell you, every single solitary conversation you have with God, though you can't necessarily hear him respond to you, is fruitful, is powerful, is efficacious. It's working something into your life. He's responding to everyone. So, once we have spoken to God, we must be willing to then place ourselves under the tutelage of God. See, it's one thing to speak to God, right, and leave our requests before him. There's another thing then to place ourselves under the tutelage of God. James, Yaakov 1:19 says this. He tells us to be slow to speak and quick to listen. Matter of fact, I would probably suggest that 1/3 of our prayer time be speaking to God and 2/3 be listening for God. There's so many things, and this is especially true when it comes to our conversations with God. If you are saying to yourself, gee, Rabbi, I don't really hear God speak back to me, I would say keep speaking to him and keep listening for his voice, and you will begin to hear him. I don't hear God. Well, guess what? Keep listening and you will. Keep going after God, and you are going to eventually begin to hear him crystal clear. So after we talk to God, we must then listen and then respond to his advice. Why? Because he has really good advice. God has really, really good advice to tell us. Listen to this passage in Mishlei Proverbs chapter 5. Listen to me, my son, for I know what I'm talking about. Selah. Listen to me, my son, my daughter, because I know what I'm talking about. Listen carefully to my advice so that wisdom and discernment will enter your heart, and then the words you speak will express what you've learned. This is a powerful verse because it is saying that when we listen to God and take his advice, wisdom and godly discernment will be given to us, which will help us when we speak, right? And when we speak, we will be imparting God's wisdom to others. But if we never take the time to carefully listen to God and carefully follow his advice, the things we speak won't be imparting wisdom to anyone. Take a look at our world. There's a lot of bad advice being given and a lot of bad advice being taken because people don't have access to the discernment of God's Ruach. This is a crucial hour, and we need to hear what God is saying. Shema Yisrael. Hear. Shema Yisrael. Hear what God is saying and obey him. That's what it means. When we sing it every week, Shema Yisrael, we're saying, God, we hear you, and God, we will obey you. Shema Yisrael is not just a religious mantra or creed. It is a relationship between God and his people. It is living. Yes, I hear you, God, and I will obey you. Hear and follow God's advice. Be discerning as to walk in the wisdom of God. That is exactly what Daniel was noted for. He possessed divine wisdom, as did Joseph, and they had the ability to discern what was going on. You know, it says of the men of Issachar, it doesn't say that they were really powerful or gifted in any way except for this. It said the men of Issachar were men who had an understanding of the times